It's very interesting because Tracey is careless and to fly, take the risk, and she can manage that and she can overcome that, right? Very interesting story. How you handle those difficult situations, but at least you have confidence doing that. But once you arrive in Indonesia and you have to deal with human being and to deal with the authority, then you become scared. There is an unpredicted factor there. So what lesson you learn from that? Besides that, you fight for the human right, you know, for the woman's right. Yeah, well, something that. Yes. Okay. You get the essence of my question, right?
I do. I think yeah. Power is a frightening thing, and the misuse of power, and how you're just at the mercy of arbitrary power, if you like, and they can do whatever they like to you. They can arrest you, they can throw you in prison. So it was, you know, as I said, maybe we ourselves could have been better prepared for what we were dealing with. And you know, we obviously had handlers in Indonesia, but I wish they had perhaps said, look, you know, it's very sensitive with cameras here, you know, be careful. But of course, there's always the bigger concern when you're up there, you know, flying in electrical storms, you know, there's the much bigger physical threat, you know, so as well as trying to deal with that, then you know, they're worried about where you are in the airspace and what you're potentially, you know, if you're breaching airspace in some way, which is fair enough, but when you're actually flying the airplanes, your first concern is to fly the aircraft safely in all weather and all terrain. And then you've got the overlay of procedural stuff and those complications. But it certainly highlighted, which is one of the problems the pioneers didn't have. You know, they could fly, although they didn't have modern radio, they didn't have GPS. What they didn't have to deal with was the kind of bureaucracy and procedure that we deal with today, and the security issues, which is huge. I can't underestimate that, you know, and some of the issues I dealt with in Africa. I mean, I had, you know, one or two problems there. So that for me is that the flying was wonderful, but what happens on the ground, you know, how easy it is to get this wrong, and they can do what they like with you. You know, you can be detained, and that's terrifying, you know, in a country where, you know, it's quite authoritarian, and I was shocked. I honestly, I was nervous. I was very, very nervous about the whole thing, but very grateful for the help that I was given, you know, at very, very high level in Indonesia. And my hope actually is I'd like to go back, and actually Ibu Susi said, you know, come back and stay, you know, come back and see us again, without all of those. Without historically all of those issues, to come back and see the country and go and do some hiking, see the volcanoes, and do some scuba diving, and really enjoy the country culturally, without this terrible issue that we dealt with at the time, because it does obviously, you know, influence how you feel about a country afterwards. I was quite traumatized by it, I have to say.